All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is BigfryTV, and today I want to talk to you guys about a game that was just announced today from the publisher Off-World Industries. If you guys don't know who that is, they are the creators of Squad and the publishers of Postscriptum. They have announced a new title called Beyond the Wire, and what this game is a World War I tactical shooter. The description on their Twitter is a fresh new look at the brutal and visceral warfare of World War I, putting players into the shoes of frontline soldiers. Now, it's being developed by Redstone Interactive, and I'm sure they're using their WWI core, much like Postscriptum is, where it's basically the framework for the game is kind of licensed out to the developers, and then they take that framework and they make their standalone projects and basically get it published by Off-World Industries. But I want to start off this discussion by saying I am in no way discouraging you guys from trying the game out. Right now, I think they're entering alpha, and I am also in no way trying to discourage the developers from doing what they want to do when it comes to creating and developing video games. But I think now is the time to just finally come out and say that I believe there's something fundamentally wrong with 99% of tactical team-based shooters that are coming out today. Games that range from Insurgency Sandstorm to Rising Storm 2 to Squad to Postscriptum to Hell Let Loose, from Battalion to Days of War to Beyond the Wire. And that's the fact that all of these games are not built with longevity in mind. When you look at the tactical shooter genre nowadays, a lot of these games are attributed to being niche audiences and not ever being able to thrive in a space outside of a player base of around 4,000 to 5,000. And you can literally do the homework. You can go and look up almost any World War-based shooter that has come out in the last 4 or 5 years. Even look at games like Squad if you want to reach into the modern realm. But these indie tactical shooter games never ever seem to get off the ground. While these games are being marketed and hyped up and in testing and alphas and betas, everybody is always talking about them. But when you look at the actual numbers, nobody is actually playing these games. You might have a player base. I think Squad is one of the higher played player bases. And if you look at their Steam charts, I think they're sitting around 2,900 to 3,500 daily players. Now, that's not bad at all by any stretch of the imagination. But there's no games out here that are thriving in the tactical space outside of that 1%. And I attribute that 1% to Escape from Tarkov. We can look at EFT right now. It is killing it in terms of player numbers, in terms of viewership on Twitch, in terms of content. Escape from Tarkov is that one that broke free. And when you look at Escape from Tarkov compared to games like Squad, Insurgency, Postscriptum, Hell Let Loose, Escape from Tarkov is doing so much more outside of the just tactical shooter and gunplay space. They have the looting, the environments, just the gameplay loops that Tarkov is providing on top of that core tactical shooter base is why that game is thriving. When I look at Beyond the Wire, and this is a prime example, their Steam page explains that there's massive multiplayer action, 100 players at a time face off in 50v50 tactical combat with an emphasis on methodical bolt action rifle combat and the brutal scale of action soldiers faced on the front lines of the Great War. And it's just something that we've seen 150,000 times before. Team-focused gameplay, coordinate and chat with your fellow soldiers at arms. Beyond the Wire places an emphasis on team collaboration. We've seen this before. And it's funny that we keep seeing games like this, whether it's World War I, World War II, or modern. We see games like this where the basic core gameplay loop is you spawn in a squad, you go to an objective, you crouch, you capture the objective, and you go to the next one. All of these hyper-realistic style games like Postscriptum, Hell Let Loose, Beyond the Wire, they're all the same. Different setting. We can talk about World War I versus World War II, but at the end of the day, I'm not one to put games in boxes and say, oh, this is basically Postscriptum in trench warfare, but that is exactly what this is. We're getting the same games over and over and over and over again, with nobody taking the time to really look at what makes a tactical game successful outside of the niche genre that these games appeal to. Tactical shooters are in such a fucking repetitive rut right now that all of these games coming out are hyped up to the point where everybody spends their money on it and then never fucking plays it. The developers then develop it for the next 3 years, realize that at launch or shortly after or whenever they do free weekends, that's when your players peak, and then at the end of the day, there's just nothing. So then they go on to their next game, they announce that, and oh shit, everybody is hyped again. That game, it might be in a different setting, it might be a little bit of a different style of game, but at the end of the day, it's just a core tactical shooter with capture the objective points where you just keep moving, and there's never any longevity. There's never anything that really keeps people inside the game outside of them playing with their friends and not having that experience anywhere else. As much as we can rag on Escape from Tarkov and Battlestate games, terrible server infrastructure, hackers galore, that game broke the mold for what a tactical shooter needs to do to be able to thrive in the modern day market. That game is the only tactical shooter out here right now that, in my opinion, is thriving on all fronts in terms of player base, in terms of financial gain, in terms of Twitch and YouTube viewership. Small streamers, when it comes to Escape from Tarkov, are pulling more numbers than some of these entire directories in comparison. Squad sitting here with like 140 people watching the entire directory. Sandstorm sitting here with 300 people watching the entire directory, whereas Escape from Tarkov has almost 50,000 people watching. Granted, all the big streamers are on there, but there's a reason for it. That game is appealing to a mass market outside of that niche genre because it does so many things differently with its gameplay loops that are stacked on top of the core shooting mechanics. And I just see Beyond the Wire not doing anything to push that forward. I see Modern Warfare experimenting with 200-player Battle Royale, and I see the ability to have 200 players on a battlefield. Why not make multi-step objectives where you actually have to do something that changes the course of battle instead of just taking a point, looking up in the top right corner of your screen, waiting for the bar to fill, and then moving to the next one? Why not make it so one squad's objective in this overarching battle is to go and take out the anti-aircraft rockets or missiles or whatever the case is, the anti-aircraft guns if we're talking about World War II, and that will allow another squad that has an operator with a command role to then call in airstrikes to take out this bunker, which will allow allied tanks to then get the upper hand to move in and make objectives and make gameplay that actually fucking matters, instead of just this capture the flag, move in, sit down, wait, maybe die, respawn, run back, and just this tug of war that is just so tiresome and so fucking boring. Why not make a game mode where it's similar to Conquest, but what you're doing actually matters? Make it so that the things you can unlock and rank up are actually worthwhile and could actually impact your gameplay. So you might be able to unlock different attachments for your weapons as you rank up through the game, so it makes you want to stick around, play better, earn more rewards, make tournaments, make anything you can do outside of just sitting on capture points, which I have a feeling that's exactly what this game is. They can talk all day about an authentic arsenal of weapons and a unique melee combat system, but at the end of the day, I am predicting a nice launch for them, followed very quickly by a fizzle and a trickle out of the player base, because they realize that they've played this game before. And they've played this game a lot before, year after year after year. Let me know what you guys think down below. I feel like I'm being a little bit too harsh, but at the end of the day, this is just how I feel. And again, if you guys are excited for the game, I want to hear that too. I myself am such a huge fan of anybody who is entering this space, because I know that this space is crowded. When you add the fact that you're making a World War game on top of it, you are going up against a multitude of other shooters that are already established, that are already doing it. And when I say established, I mean people have played them, people are playing them, but there's no game that's doing it in such a way to push the gameplay forward. If they can get that done, okay. But at first sight, at first look, I feel like I'm looking at Postscriptum 2 World War I. And that to me, I have no fucking interest in it. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like on it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. My name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.